Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the TraxionGG podcast, where we talk about racing games, esports, and sim racing. And joining us today to talk about such topics and a bit of IndyCar as well is none other than Romain Grosjean. How are you, Romain?
I'm doing all right. Thank you.
Nice. Before we go further, and I'm afraid audio listeners to this won't be able to see this, but Romain's got the most amazing background. Could you just explain what that is? Is that all your previous race suits and helmets? And I see a few trophies down there as well.
Yeah, exactly. It is all my race suits since 2000. So my first one in go-kart. I kept at least one per year. To my right is the go-kart one, 2000. And then to my left is the last one from Delcon Racing last year, with including all the Haas, Lotus Formula One, Renault Drive Development, and some that not many people knows. And then I've got some helmets that I cherish. Even more to my right is more helmets, and a couple of trophies down there. Just waiting for my F1 trophies to be coming to the collection, and hoping to get more next year or this year, I guess.
You are, yes. We'll cover your 2022 plans with Andretti Autosport later on in our conversation, I'm sure, but I've no doubt there'll be more to add to that collection. And actually, really randomly, is there anything from FIA GT1 there? Because I think that's often something that not many people pick up on, and I loved that series. It was amazing to watch.
You know what? I think it's missing. I need to find it out. I know it's somewhere because I've seen it, and it's missing. So 2010, that's 11. That's 2000. No, I don't have it. I need to find it.
Oh well, that's a shame. You'll have to work on that.
Yes.
That's cool. Anyway, that's a random throwback for everyone. Everyone should look up those races on YouTube because the sound of those cars was incredible. Anyway, I digress. I think I would like to talk primarily to start with about sim racing and esports, if that's okay. Because what I find really fascinating about yourself, if you don't mind me saying, is it seems to me like you have a genuine interest in sim racing. And not only that, you have a vested interest as well because you have an eponymous team, R8G Esports. So while I think Romain Grosjean yourself doesn't need an introduction per se, I do believe that fewer people out there may know or may not know your R8G Esports team. So for those who aren't aware, could you quickly explain what R8G Esports is and what it stands for?
Yeah, I mean, for an old man like me, it was quite surprising to get an esports team. But the pandemic during COVID, I had an old friend of mine that worked for 14 years in Formula One that was really involved into esports. And he told me you should look into it. And, I always kept an eye on it because it was there. I've been playing when I was a kid. And then I stopped for 10 years.
You were a bit busy.
And I looked at it. Yeah, sort of. And, just got away from it. But then I looked at it and I thought, you know what? I think there's definitely something to do here. First of all, I was lucky in my life that, background behind me shows it, that motorsport gave me a lot, made my life. And I thought, how can I give back, a little bit to what I had? Obviously, I don't have the finance to support young careers, young drivers through their careers. It's too expensive. But what I could do is through an esports team, allow people to live from their passion, esports. And, we launched in April 2020 with 7 drivers. We had about 30 drivers by the end of the year. Now we have even more drivers than that. We've got a junior team and we've got a female team. So we're really trying to push, the boundaries, seeing how with the constructor we can get involved and be part of all the big championship. We were part of the Formula E Accelerate. We were part of Le Mans Virtual Series. We're part of the Porsche Super Cup on iRacing. So yes, we're trying to be involved in every big championship. We're trying to run it as a professional team with a team manager, with a communication officer, with a marketing department, engineers. So it is like a real team, but it's just not real.
Yeah. I mean, from the outside looking in, it seems to be very professional. Everything's very organized and the drivers are very talented as well. Certainly from my point of view, reporting on racing esports, there's always an R8G Esports driver there or thereabouts, right up near the top. When you see just the weekend past when we're recording this, the team finished second in the Esports Racing World Cup, and they had a very strong run throughout the Le Mans Virtual Series. When you see good results, performances, does that make you proud?
Oh yes, definitely. I follow everything. I'm not all the time with the guys because I'm busy keeping racing, but I'm aware of pretty much everything. And even when they think I've missed something, and they would love that I missed something, I didn't miss it. So yeah, we've had a really good World Cup last week. Redline was very strong. I mean, they've got 5 drivers full time. We haven't gone there yet. I don't want to have full-time drivers just because if, we're still at the beginning of esports, and I don't want to take a kid 20 years old and tell him, I'm going to pay you full-time. And then let's say in 2 years time, well, it didn't work, we're stopping. And then what do I do with his life? So I don't want to have full-time drivers, but we've had some really good surprise. Martin van der Lonzoord did an amazing job. We had Dennis as well doing a great job. Some a little bit more disappointing, but it's we're up there. We're trying to compete against everyone and pushing it. So Le Mans was a great race. We struggled at the beginning. We just didn't have the pace. We couldn't quite understand why, but in the race we did a really good job, came back at the front. And I think what's important is that we are everywhere, as you say. We were part of the Olympic on Gran Turismo, we're part of the World Cup here, we're part of Le Mans, we're part of all the big championship we're in.
It must be quite difficult to keep on top of, but I do notice on your Twitter feed, for example, you do like retweet and share like cool things from the drivers, and I just feel that that's a really important personal touch, and it shows that you care. And I think those drivers must appreciate that. Do you ever give them any like words of advice or mentorship?
Yeah, all the drivers in the team have got my mobile number, and they can contact me anytime. I did switch off Discord from my mobile phone. It was draining the battery within 30 minutes. That's the reason. But they have, they can contact me by message or WhatsApp. They all have my numbers, and I'm always here for them. Questions or big events or pressure or just life. I think if I created the team, is not to give my name, is to be involved and be with them. And sometimes they're training for a big race, and I just pop up in the middle of the server. I got the password, so I jump in, I take the setup.
Oh, nice.
I speed in front of them, and they crash into me. I'm like, sorry, I ruined your lap. But it's just I think it's just a good way to have fun.
Yeah, of course. Would you ever like to compete alongside him in something like the 24 Hours of Le Mans Virtual or something like
this? Oh, yes, definitely.
If the schedule allows?
Yeah, I wanted to do Le Mans Virtual this year. I just wasn't ready with the setup on time. I did Daytona 24 the week after with Jimmy Broadbent. That was fun. If it wasn't for a steering wheel issue, I think we would have won our split. But I couldn't upshift and downshift at one point. So
that happens in sim racing, though. Yeah, exactly. It's like a powertrain issue in the real world or something. It's the equivalent, I suppose, and it does happen. But how was your Daytona 24?
I love. It was great. I mean, I love endurance races just because it doesn't take that much. It takes a bit of training, but you don't need to have ultimate pace in qualifying. It's a 24-hour race, so you can be a little bit more patient, which I find is just a bit better racing-wise. I'm looking at Bathurst, but that's yes. The mountain has won many times already against me.
I think that applies to everybody, though. Like everybody's visited those Armcos and those barriers.
Yeah. So maybe Sebring, I'll be on a racing game.
Cool.
I'll be in the IndyCar Pro Challenge 1. I just find it's an incredible way of people to share the track with us, racing drivers, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Alex Palou, myself, whoever. And we go into random sessions, and then there's a guy in California, Pennsylvania, England, France, Japan, just jump in a session and ends up being racing against us. And people love that. And I love that as well. I find it's so cool that, randomly, I wish when I was a kid, I could have randomly played against Michael Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve, Fernando Alonso, Mika Hakkinen. They were the guys that I was watching.
Yeah, that's an incredible thing that people who are getting into sim racing or want to get into motorsport have the opportunity of doing now, right? Thanks to online connections and more affordable steering wheels and more responsive and realistic platforms. It's an amazing time. And that's why TraxionGG exists as well. We're going to try and cover everything. You mentioned actually there, just to go on a slight tangent, that you're racing with Jimmy Broadbent there. You've got Gordy Much, part of R8G as well. I saw that they're racing in a Praga this year, and you're a Praga ambassador. Do you think these sort of deals sort of highlight the fact that, okay, yes, you can have a really good sim racing career, but there will be opportunities along the way, if you're good enough, to also branch out into real world motorsports?
Well, that's definitely something I'm trying to push. And that's one of the reasons also I work with Praga, because they're very open-minded and they've got the R1 series racing in the UK. And they decided that they were going to take some ambassador and some sim racers to be racing alongside racing drivers. And I find that amazing. I really find that, okay, not everyone would be good from sim racing to real world. And if it was that much real, the same, I would be super fast on a simulator, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm okay, but I'm not super fast.
I'm sure you're very quick.
I'm okay on the race car. So I think there's still kind of a bit of a difference. But saying that, I am convinced that we can find the next talent through esports, and I'm actually trying to push different programs for that to happen.
Interesting. Is that something to maybe talk about in the future, or is there anything you can mention now? Or
no, we're just trying to finance it. It's always the same challenge. But the day we can find a sponsor to create that challenge, I already have the platform through a sim competition, go-kart days, Formula 4, and hopefully compete at the championship. So I really think that there's a lot that can be done, and that I hope that, like Praga, some of those will follow.
Yeah, well, that would be brilliant. And I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure everyone listening will wish you the best of luck with some sort of initiative like that, because that would be an incredible opportunity, wouldn't it? I also want to mention your YouTube channel, because on there, you can watch your Daytona 24-hour stints, but also you can watch track guides, which are really cool. And I really like the way you do it. They're informative and entertaining and nice and relaxed, even if you know the track already. So everyone should check those out. And then there's some vlogs from IndyCar as well. Are you going to do more of that in 2022?
Yes, definitely. There's more coming. I'm actually preparing. One of the reasons I've got that beautiful background is because I wanted to make some cool videos. So it was all prepared and in my head. There's gonna be some good videos. There's gonna be the IndyCar track guide, I believe, that I'm gonna do, because I know the track, so it's gonna be easier to tell about it. Trying to just be, it's racing world is so cool. Sim racing allows us to do a lot of stuff, and I think I just want to use the two worlds together to make it cool and good, and for people that want to watch, just enjoy watching.
Yeah, I think it's a really good initiative, and I really do look forward to your videos this year, because Romain Grosjean, well-known name in real-world motorsport, but here you are in an approachable fashion using a game or a sim which is relatable to a whole bunch of people, and it all just sort of ties everything together rather nicely. So you mentioned a potential there for some sort of IndyCar video. So I think we should talk about IndyCar, because you're going to be competing in the IndyCar Pro Challenge, which is a few days after the time we are recording. So this is where it's going to be real-world IndyCar drivers in R-Factor 2 in the current spec IndyCar. Is that something you're looking forward to, trying out R-Factor 2?
Oh yeah, I actually love R-Factor 2. Really, I was even though I didn't compete in Le Mans 24, I was practicing on the LMP2 in Spa, Monza, and Le Mans, and I was loving it. Because you can actually slide a bit the car. I think the way it's behaving is really well done. So I really enjoyed it. The IndyCar, the minute on R-Factor 2 is not the best, but I believe there's a new mode coming for that race. I think it's quite cool the way it's done. We don't have access to the mode. We cannot train. We don't know the car. We don't know the circuit until a day before the event, which is exciting, but also a bit scary, because some of the boys out there in IndyCar are young generation, and they're bloody fast on a simulator.
Who do you think will be, super quick potentially?
I think Alex Palou, Scott McLaughlin. They have been very, very driving a lot on different simulators. But then it depends on the track. If it's on oval, it may completely change the thing. I think I know Simo Pagino does quite a bit of R-Factor 2.
Right.
As I say, I know the game from few modes, but I'm just excited to discover it, and then to go racing. And I really want to push the community evening, maybe, with Connor Daly or Alex or whoever, and we can open a server. We can tell people just come and join us and let's have a race for fun, and I think
that'll be amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Hopefully, if you do that, I can sneak an invite. We'll see. But that'll be amazing. But just in terms of things like the IndyCar Pro Challenge, for example, do you think IndyCar working in conjunction with someone like Motorsport Games to create an esport event like this, using the real world drivers to be streamed live on the internet, do you think that's an important thing for the community? Does it show the sport in a good light?
100%. I think it's just a cool way to see ourselves in a different environment back home racing. I think that's going to be a great atmosphere. I really believe there's a lot we can do through the esports. I know there's going to be an open challenge for people to do the IndyCar Pro Challenge, and why not seeing the top 3 being able to have a ticket for the Indy 500 or another race? It would be so cool that through the esport, I remember, and that's more than 20 years ago, sadly. I went to the Geneva Motor Show.
Oh yeah,
and I was just a young kid, and there were the PlayStation's seat and game Gran Turismo, and I got in and I did a really good lap and I actually won the challenge for the week, and I won a PlayStation 2, I think, at the time, so whenever that was. And I still remember it. It's 20 years ago, but I was so proud that I got, so I think that's the beauty through esport. We can give people, through their skills of doing something, a souvenir that they will not have necessarily in another place.
Also, I think it feeds the passion, right? But it must have been really cool to be at the Geneva show and think, oh, well, maybe I can do this further or jump in a rail car or whatever. I too have been to the Geneva show when I was younger and played on Gran Turismo, and I didn't win the prize. But that speaks volumes about my lack of talent, unfortunately. But I was there, and that was one of the reasons I've ended up in this job. It got me passionated and following motorsport and writing about motorsport. And so it can also apply to drivers as well, right? So you're right. There's a lot of potential there to take things another step further with prizes and competitions and incentives. So it's exciting to be part of this growing industry, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So IndyCar Pro Challenge is in the virtual world. Real drivers actually doing stuff, but it's ultimately on a sim platform. I wanted to touch upon real world IndyCar. Let's call it that for now. You had an amazing debut season. How did it feel like jumping straight into IndyCar and being competitive from the get-go, getting the pole position on your third event after, what you'd been through to the tail end of your Formula One career? How did that feel to be instantly on the pace?
Yeah, it felt amazing. I had no idea what I was going to go into when I joined IndyCar. And, when you've been 10 years in Formula One, you've got an image, like you've done the top of the sport, and whatever you do behind it, it can go, you can be not competitive, and then people's gonna say, always new.
It's a risk.
But it's a risk. And moving across the Atlantic, I was going to travel. I think I came 10 times or 11 times last year in the US. So that's 11 times crossing the Atlantics.
That's tiring.
It was a lot of time away from my family. So I knew there was going to be a lot of challenges last year. And I didn't know what I was going to go into. So just, let's see. I knew no one. I just came up and luckily I met my engineer, Olivier Boisson. That's a Frenchman, and he's been following me to Andretti. There was Sébastien Bourdais and Simon Pagenaud that were also very helpful in getting me up to speed. And the other drivers, really, from Connor Daly taking me out for dinner when I was in Indianapolis on my own in February doing my medical exams. Let's take you out for dinner, Also went with Marcus Ericsson, Scott Dixon, and Felix Rosenquist, and just discover a completely different new world and an atmosphere. And I loved it. And after St. Pete, it was only second race of the season. St. Pete wasn't necessarily, very, very good race. We had a technical issue in the race. Finished 13th, I think. I came home and my wife saw how happy I was, and she was like, "Okay, let's go. Let's get you signed on a big team." And I agree that you're gonna do all the races, including ovals, next year if you're on a big team. And that's why I was very lucky to get on the right time with Andretti. You know, we always say in motorsport, it's being the right time, the right place. And I think that's what happened to me. I came in last year. It was the last contract from Ryan Hunter after such an incredible car in IndyCar. The DHL car was going to be freed up. I came in, I did a good season. I got the seat, which is, you know, incredible after only a year in IndyCar being with Andretti, one of the biggest team in the world. So we just we decided we found a school for the kids in the US, found a house, moved, and ended up with a beautiful sim room.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, as sim rooms go, that's up there. So I mean, you mentioned it there. So it's a full season this year. Andretti Autosport, you know, one of the world's most renowned teams. Everybody has heard of them. It must be an honor to have signed that contract. It must have felt really good. What are your hopes and dreams for the year ahead, I guess?
Well, the dream is to be champion and to win the 500. You know, I guess that's what happened when you do IndyCar. I just want to go and win races. I just want to have fun. I think last year I found really something incredible in my career, that I was just going racing for myself, having fun. You know, I don't have anything to prove. Just enjoying it. I'm taking it seriously, but also at the same time not taking myself seriously, which is a very fine line. And hopefully this year I can keep doing the same thing. Just being, you know, enjoying going to the races, doing the best job I can. But once the evening has arrived, crack on the barbecue and with no bad joke or bad words, you know. But yeah, cook a nice piece of meat and just enjoy the next day. Yeah,
well, that sounds like a heck of a life. So I wish you and your family all the best with the move to Miami, but also for the season ahead. And as we're recording this before the IndyCar Pro Challenge, which everyone can watch on YouTube, I wish you obviously the best of luck with that. And thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. It was fun.
No worries, anytime. Just before we go, I should mention, quick plug, of course, if you want your racing games and esports news, if you want to follow R8G Esports through the year, please do visit the TraxionGG website. And if you listen to this podcast and enjoyed it, please do give it a like on Spotify and a subscribe on the Apple Podcast platform. Thank you very much. Keep it pinned.